I've made it home to you.
William?
A toast to my family and my saviors. Which man from those assembled was able to resist?
I cannot say for certain. Only that the room was filled with the smell of treachery.
And what exactly did you teach her? I was the only one in the world who loved you.
Something I can help you with, sir? Excuse me. I asked if there's something I can show you. Look, if you're not going to buy anything, I'm going to have to ask you and your friend to leave.
I'm afraid you have no right to do that, young man.
Just why is that?
Because I own this establishment.
Mr. Shields.
William?
Yes, my love. I've made it home to you. Oh, I'm beginning to think the tub is the zenith of Western civilization.
After all these months, that's no surprise.
I also may never get out of here.
There's no rush. Take all the time you need.
How are you?
Terrible. With all the rumors of the last few months, I had steeled myself for the news of William's death, and I should have spent more time preparing for the possibility of his return.
It's nothing short of a miracle that he's returned alive with his health, as well as his mind.
Miracles are not always a blessing.
I know.
I'm going to have to tell him of my feelings.
Elizabeth, give him some time. His returning home is as difficult for him as it is for you. Let him get used to his life again.
Is it true that William has returned?
It is.
It is true, you have survived.
Only slightly the worse for wear.
And not a bit, you look amazingly well.
Thanks to my compatriot and my savior. Spirit Chaser, this is my brother Taylor, who I told you about.
Yes, he is just as you described him.
Without his help, I never would have escaped or found my way back here.
You were fortunate indeed to have him.
Yes. He proved to be a far better guide than the two men you put me with all those months ago.
I have never forgiven myself for making such a bad error in judgment. Obviously, they had made some arrangement with the savages who took you.
One question, Captain. What'd your brother ever done to you to make you wish a Huron fate on him?
He kept all the money, Mr. Coughlin. And I want mine back. Joyfully, his death will balance the ledger.
So, dear brother, is there sufficient larder for a proper celebration?
I shall see to it that there is.
So, it was you who launched the attack on the French fort where I was being held.
Oh, yes. Elizabeth and I were moving.
And I as well, with a contingent of troops.
But none of us could get there in time.
In the confusion, the French took you away.
Yes, only to give me back to the Hurons.
It was amazing that those savages did not kill you.
That's because of his bravery. The most incredible I've ever seen.
They tortured you?
No. First, they decided to break my spirit, as if there was anything left to break.
Then they tied you to a stake and hurled tomahawks at you.
Don't tell me you have participated in such barbaric behavior.
Only as a target.
Ah, then you know how it feels.
Not something a fella easily forgets.
No matter how close they came, he didn't move.
It took great courage.
Not a bit. The minute I saw what they were planning, my entire body turned to stone. And the closer they threw, the more frozen I became.
Until the warriors were so impressed, they cut him loose and they carried him around on their shoulders.
Yeah, it's a good thing. I would not have been able to take a step to save my life.
However you managed to survive, it's good you made it back home.
A toast to my family, to my saviors.
I'm afraid Chingachgook and I don't qualify on that last one.
Ah, but you certainly made the effort.
I cannot get over how well you look, William.
I was just thinking the same about you. This wilderness has done wonders for you. It appears you have truly blossomed out here.
She's adapted well to her surroundings.
With your help, I trust.
We've done what we could to teach her about the land.
Oh, yes, and there's certainly a great deal to be learned out here. Tell me, Taylor, whatever happened to those scoundrels you placed me with?
Hawkeye ended up killing one of them.
And the other?
Shields! Were you successful, Mr. Coughlin? Hawkeye killed Doyle. He'll come after me next. Does he know anything of my involvement?
Didn't say a word. He and the woman blew up the French fort.
So I heard. And as you may have heard, Mr. Coughlin, there are casualties in war.
I'm sure he found his just reward, as I hope happens to all people who have betrayed the trust of others.
Brought you some dinner.
We already had dinner.
You did not eat enough to fill a hummingbird.
No, I didn't.
It is not good that the Shields man returns.
Of course it is.
Not for you and Elizabeth.
You noticed?
I am not blind.
It's good that he made it back safely. Things will work out.
No, they will not.
You had a vision?
There is no need. The shaman who accompanied Shields back here, he is a follower of the black arts.
I saw no indication of that.
His medicine bag, his talisman, all around him there are evil spirits. I could see them, like dark clouds filling the room.
Well, they saved William's life and brought him back here.
That's what concerns me. A shaman like Spirit Chaser will not involve himself with a good man. It does not serve his purpose. There must be something dark within Shields as well.
A man lives to a certain age, only to realize that he is mortal, and his true needs are simple. And he's very lucky if he finds them.
And have you?
Yes. The happiest hours of a sufficiently happy life I have spent with you. Should anything ever happen to me, promise you will remember that. Promise. You are every bit as beautiful as I remember.
Thank you.
It was the memory that sustained me for all these months. Through the dread of that I would never see you again. That I would never be able to lie down next to you. Now that the moment is here, I find I'm not prepared for it. I need time to realize that I'm actually here with you again. Forgive me if I sleep outside these walls for a while. Just until the strangeness of all this passes.
Yes. Of course.
Thank you. Thank you for being so understanding.
Sleep well.
Yes, I think I will.
I just don't see the point to all this, McKinney.
Look, Pete, with Mr. Shields back, one of two things is going to happen. Either he stays here, in which case he better see what darn fine workers we are.
Or he heads back to Virginia.
In which case we show him how well we could run the store in his absence.
Well, what do we do if he decides to sell it?
We buy it as what?
That's it. I've listened to all your fool schemes and lost what little money I've earned here. But this is the end of it, so whatever it is in the back of your mind, I don't want to hear it.
Just listen to me for a minute.
No, not for a minute, not for a dang second. It's done. Over. Finished. You wrote me into your last foolish plan, Mr. McKinney.
Peeve, this is the best one yet.
Uh-huh. And you want to know why? 'Cause I ain't gonna be in on it.
You're up early?
Well, rising isn't hard when you haven't slept.
I had the same problem.
I don't know what to do.
What did William say?
Nothing. He slept outside the fort walls last night.
His idea or yours?
His. We have to discuss what we're going to say.
Not my place to say anything, Elizabeth.
And why not?
You're a married woman.
That fact has never been in dispute.
The longer that William was missing, the more certain I was he was dead. And I was wrong.
In assuming that he was dead? Or in allowing yourself to become involved with me?
Both.
We did nothing wrong.
No. And why couldn't either one of us look him in the eye last night? I'm not one given to intrigue, Elizabeth. My parents taught me one plain and simple rule. If you think something is wrong, it probably is.
But we can't control how we feel.
No. But I should have tried harder.
So you're going to stand by and do nothing?
It's not my way, Elizabeth. But I don't have a choice in the matter.
William has always been a reasonable and kind man. I'm sure that he will understand.
Elizabeth?
I must make him understand.
How did you like my little family?
Your wife is very beautiful.
Oh, yes. The kind of beauty that arouses temptation in the strongest of men. Tell me, when those men assembled, which of them was able to resist?
I cannot say for certain. Only that the room was filled with the smell of treachery.
Ah, yes, I know that odor well. But from whom did it emanate?
I could not tell.
Perhaps from all of them.
Perhaps.
Then I must discern who has betrayed me and in what manner.
It may be easier to do away with all of them.
No, it would be wrong, a sinful waste of life. Oh, I shall bide my time, learn who the guilty party is and in what manner, and then we will balance the scales.
Whoever he is, he has hurt you deeply.
Yes, but I have learned to deal with pain. We will see how well any of them can withstand it, and for how long before they finally die.
Mr. Shields,
Yes?
I don't know if you remember us.
I'm Peavy and he's McKinney.
You work at the trading post?
Yes, sir. We're the assistant managers.
Oh, yes. What can I do for you?
Well, it's more of what we can do for you, sir.
In what regard?
Well, the thing of it is,
Well, we're wondering if you had any plans for the future.
In what regard?
Well, as whether or not you're going to be staying here.
Well, truth to tell, I haven't given it any thought yet.
because if you're staying, why, we'd like to say how much we appreciate the chance to work for you and Mrs. Shields.
But if you're planning on going back to Virginia, well, we'd like to talk to you about buying the trading post from you.
Am I paying you that much that you can afford such a proposition?
Well, we thought maybe we could give you some good faith money, you know, just to get things started, and then send you money every month out of our profits.
Lesson, you think that's the stupidest idea you ever heard.
No, not at all. Let me give it some thought, boy.
Really?
Yes, really.
Come in, come in.
Thank you.
It was a wonderful dinner last night. A fitting celebration for your return.
It was indeed. Storyteller, how goes your prosecution of the war?
It would probably be ended by now if that fool Braddock hadn't lost the battle for Fort Duquesne. As it is, we should achieve victory within the year.
I pray it is so. And if it comes to pass, what then?
I expect I shall be re-signed.
But not back to England.
Never. The reason I asked you to come here is exactly the reason I stay. The opportunity for riches remains beyond imagination.
And from what I can see, still beyond reach.
Well, after all you have been through, your resolve to share in these riches should be stronger than ever.
My resolve is the same as ever. As I fear is the emptiness of your promises. You promised to deliver contracts, not only from His Majesty's army, but also from friendly Indian tribes, to ensure the success of this business. Have you, as usual, failed?
I have not failed. The contracts will come.
Then deliver, or the reserve of your inheritance that I control will be used to finance my return to Virginia.
But it is rightfully mine to use.
No, Taylor, it is now mine. And only by my grace can it ever be yours again. You remember this, Taylor, and get me those contracts you promised.
And what can happen to you by my grace, dear brother? There is no need to tread over old quarrels. Done is done. And we should concern ourselves with what lies ahead.
A noble sentiment, but one which I'm not yet quite prepared to honor.
And why not?
I wish to learn what was done in my absence, how the accounts look in the trading post. See if anyone took advantage of me in my absence.
I would not have allowed that to happen.
You have a war to conduct. Perhaps while you were so occupied, liberties were taken. And perhaps with Elizabeth as well.
And what would lead you to such an assumption?
Glances exchanged between the scout and my wife last night.
I was hoping you would not have taken notice.
Then there was something there.
Well, nothing I can say for a certainty. But in your absence, he was most attentive to her. And although I could not give you support for your suspicion, neither could I deny it.
Then I expect there are questions that I should ask. They said at the Delaware camp you'd be out here.
You've become much more comfortable in the woods, Mr. Shields.
It's only because I've spent so much time in them. My captors were so impressed with my show of courage, they took the trouble to teach me things. How to follow a trail, how to forage for food, how to use one of these.
Then your time in captivity wasn't a total waste.
Not at all. Although there must be more pleasant ways to acquire the knowledge, I thank you for taking Elizabeth under your wing.
She's a bright woman. Good pupil.
And what exactly did you teach her?
How to fire a weapon, follow a trail, paddle a canoe. Things one needs to know to survive.
So the two of you spent a great deal of time together.
Some, yes. I wouldn't characterize it as a great deal.
But enough that you grew close.
I consider her a friend.
As I'm sure she does you. Good day to you, Scout. You have done well in my absence.
Thank you.
It appears that you have made a profit. When the most I had hoped for was that the store would be self-sufficient.
Well, I've always tried to be fair in my dealings with people.
And you have become self-sufficient as well.
I had no choice.
This wilderness that repelled you now seems to be an environment in which you thrive.
It's a beautiful place, and I've made friends here.
Oh, yes. Like the woodsman.
Yes. Among others.
What if I were to tell you that I no longer wish to stay here, that I wish to return to Virginia?
It would grieve me deeply.
You have grown that fond of this place.
I love it here.
So, are you saying that I would have to return to Virginia alone? I could order you to go back with me.
You could?
But orders were never part of our relationship, were they?
No.
Well, think on it. I have not yet reached my decision. There's no need for you to reach yours.
William,
No. I wish us both to think further on this matter. We will talk later.
Morning, Mr. Shields.
Gentlemen, I just finished telling my wife how pleased I am with the way the post has run in my absence. I trust some measure of its success is owed to the two of you.
Yes, I expect it is.
Even if it's immodest for someone to say so.
Yes, well, be that as it may, I want you to know, gentlemen, that your proposition is agreeable to me.
It is?
Yes.
You're going back to...
Yes, I am. But do not mention the matter to Mrs. Shields, for I have not yet broached it with her. For now, it must be a secret between us.
A secret, you bet.
Is everything all right, boys?
Yes, ma'am?
Well, why do you ask?
Well, it's just that you're moving so strangely.
Oh, stiffness, Miss Shields. We've been sitting around too long.
I'm off to the Delaware camp. I won't be too long.
We'll look after things till you get back.
I expect you will, Peavy. Isn't that what I pay you for?
Yes, ma'am. It certainly is.
And so he's left the decision in my hands.
How do you feel about that?
A little daunted.
Not surprising.
I had no idea how to even broach the subject or when would be the appropriate time. But before I had a chance to even give it thought, he brings it up out of the clear blue sky.
Obviously, he'd been thinking about it as well.
Hawkeye, when William spoke, it was so distant. It was almost as if a stranger was saying the words.
He's been through an ordeal, Elizabeth. It's bound to have changed him.
All of us have changed, even you. What I need to know is if the things that you have said to me, if those feelings have changed.
No, they haven't. But when you make your decision, please, make it because of the way you feel about William, and not the way you feel about me.
I was the only one in the world who loved you.
William, what are you doing here?
You must get dressed. We have to go.
Go where?
No questions. Just get dressed.
It is the middle of the night.
Elizabeth, do as I say!
No, I will not. I will not!
Hawkeye! Captain Shield's been stabbed, and Miss Shield's gone.
Forgive me for striking you. You left me no choice.
William, what are you doing?
Setting things right.
What things?
Everything. Did you know Taylor tried to kill me?
No.
Yes. I saw him the other night. He burned the tent he thought I was sleeping in.
But he is your brother.
Was.
Oh, dear God.
I think he tried once before as well. The two men, the guides, but I could not be sure.
But what does that have to do with me?
Oh, yes. You. Here's what you must understand. My mind is not what it was before. There are times when I see everything clearly and logically. Just like the pages of a ledger. Then there are blank spaces when I cannot remember days that I know have passed, and I am hungry. And there's beer on my face, and I don't remember whatever happened during those periods.
William, it was the torture. It harmed your mind.
Oh, but it was not the torture. Here was the Indian gods.
Those gods, they have nothing to do with you.
You're Christian.
No! It must be them. My God would never play such a trick on me. I must appease them. I must appease them so that they can restore my mind to normalcy. Just like Abraham offered up his firstborn, I will give them that on earth which I value most. Your love.
How can you do that?
By bequeathing the physical vessel where your love resides.
My heart.
Yes, my love. Oh, I wish there were another way.
Stand away, Shields.
This has nothing to do with you!
It has everything to do with me. Now stand away before someone's hurt.
I will hear no more of this.
Your mind is not right, Shields.
My mind has never been more clear.
There are times when I despair of this war and the evils that men commit against one another. But in my heart's darkest hour, I look to Chingachgook and his tribe, and I am reassured as to the basic goodness of man. I can only hope that we whites will one day behave toward one another as my Delaware brothers do. As for Elizabeth, I am mindful of how far she has come, how much she has learned, and of how close we have grown to one another. And I know, whatever future this magnificent wilderness holds, that we will face it together.